In today's world, young people face immense pressure from their peers and society. Whether it's about how they dress, what they believe, and the choices they make, external influence can shape their decisions sometimes in ways they may not even realize. Peer pressure can push individuals towards actions they might not truly agree with, while societal expectations can create unrealistic standards, leading to stress and self-doubt. So, the question is, how can youth navigate these pressures while staying true to themselves? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on another interesting episode. I'm Fatima Ahmed Musa, and this is Youth Connect. Now let's go on a quick break, and when we return, you get to meet my guests, and then we go into the discussion proper after this break. Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us on Youth Connect, coming to you from Trust TV here in Abuja. Now joining me in the studio is Nwafor Obinna Victory. He's a sociologist. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And then we have Hadiza Shuaibu. She's a civil servant and a personal development advocate. Thank you so much, Hadiza, for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we are discussing about societal expectations and peer pressure, and the bottom is, how do we even understand it in the first place? Take us through what societal expectation is for you.
Societal expectations are a set of behaviors or rules that a vast majority of the society expects everyone to follow. It's something that is agreed upon, that these are our norms, customs and traditions that we adhere to. So that's what it is. And they are expected that everyone in that society, in that space, conforms to those guidelines, to those rules. And they are expected that you have to put up the highest possible behavior of tolerance, of acceptance to such rules and to such set down guidelines.
How about you, Hadiza? What does it mean for you, to, when people say societal expectations or peer pressure, they succumb to it? What does that mean to you?
To me, it is the limit or the extent the society puts or places on individuals at certain ages or at certain levels in life, and they expect you to be in that frame. Just rules, would I say, for how your life should turn out, or how things should be for you at a certain level in your life, of which I feel is very different to every human being and every individual.
So, but can peer pressure be positive, or is it always negative?
Well, peer pressure is not always negative. There are two sides to it. There's a positive side of it, there's a negative side of it. And I think the issue with peer pressure is that it has always been the negative side that has been parroted all the years. People or societies basically do not really look at the positive side of peer pressure, because the negative side is actually what harms the society, and so we tend to overlook the good side of it and focus on the negative side, because we don't even want it to happen anymore. So people will keep hammering on the negative side. Don't succumb to the pressure of your group or the pressure of your friends to do certain things, to do this and to do that. So that's what it is. But basically, peer pressure has two sides, the negative and the positive, and actually both of them function. Functionalists, by the way, but both of them have their place in society. So yes.
So, but how have you ever seen or heard anyone who has faced peer pressure and then also maybe societal expectations, and they actually had to go with what the society or the peer pressure puts in their faces?
Just like you said, peer pressure is positive and it's also negative. But for the most part, I feel like the negatives feel more familiar to people, so it's easier for them to actually dwell in the negatives than look out for the positive. You have to, and most of us would waste most of our time in growing or in development that we sink into more negatives than the positives. You have to get to a certain stage in life or a certain time in life, would I say, for you to actually start dropping all of those negatives and start to look inward and start to put forward like the positives that you expect for yourself. Because at a certain stage in life, or even as an individual, you're supposed to be in a certain way, would I say, or you're supposed to have achieved certain things. That's personal, and it takes time. Societal pressure doesn't start to kick in really early. I would say it starts to really kick in your 30s, would I say. it starts to kick in your 30s, where you have to like think for yourself now. You have to make, you know, positive decisions for yourself, because for, like, would I say, for most of your life you're saying that, oh, the negatives actually don't work. It's not just societal pressure.
At what point you realize that it's actually So, but have you is there sometimes that, you know, people actually tend to give in to peer pressure even when they know it's wrong? Because you mentioned there's positive and there's the negative aspect of it. So are there times that people just give in and say, oh, okay, well, whatever, let me just go with what?
Well, yes, there are times, and these times it varies. Like she pointed out, at different stages of life. I imagine a 17-year-old guy who got into school for the first time, it's like university to be precise, and then he sees a group of guys who dress a different way, who have a different charisma. When they enter in, everybody, you know, gives them space, and he's looking at himself. I'm like, I think I'd like to be like these guys. People should, you know, give him that respect, because naturally man naturally has ego. So he wants to see that the way they respect those people, he wants to be respected, he wants to be feared. And so that charisma, that display of charisma and influence is what drives him to say, I'd like to be like these guys. And he would actually approach them and say, I want to be like you guys. And say, okay, if you want to be like us, you do this, you do whatever he's told to do. And he wants to prove himself, and then he goes ahead to do that, just to make sure that he's in their clique. It happens both on the side of the ladies, on the side of the young guys. It happens even up to adulthood. It actually happens. There are people in different offices or organizations where there are certain things that are frowned at. For example, inflating of contracts or whatever. But you see people who are doing that, making more money from it, living a better life, so to speak. And that's a lot of pressure for someone to take in, and he might want to even join them. So that's it.
I mean, you just reminded me of a topic I've once discussed, which is classism amongst youth, and you just captured exactly what you just said. But how can we recognize when we are being influenced by peer pressure, and instead of making our own choices or knowing where we stand?
Well, it takes me back to identifying your values as a human being and remembering what home is for you, because a lot of people would only drown in peer pressure when they have lost their sense of home or sense of understanding or reception, like from home. If you have a very great background, if you have people who tell you how it is, like you said, in school, when you're going to school, you know, if you have your family like reminding you to instill the values that they've put in you as you're going to school, there are certain things that wouldn't faze you. There are certain things that you wouldn't have to, you know, slip into just to feel among or be among. So I feel it's very important as human beings for us to identify our values and define the kind of relationships or friendships that we keep to honor those values.
So, but for what are, you know, some common societal expectations that are put on young people that shouldn't be so in our societies?
Well, society varies actually. In some societies, you're expected to have, from where I come from, wealth is one of the metrics used to measure how successful you are. There's a certain age you get to, they start asking you questions. I remember some time ago, I had someone told me, said, that guy is a little younger than you are. He already has a car. He bought one for his father and all of that. So when I buy your dad your own? And I was like, why? Is that a measure of life? Getting a car for your father and all of that. I understand that we need to appreciate our parents, but trying to take me away from my part and put me under pressure because someone did a particular thing, then you're trying to use that to push me to it, to compare, so to speak, to and all of that. But the issue is this: we have to find a way to drop some of these things, because life is in phases, and everybody we face each stage when their time comes. So trying to bamboozle someone or to cajole someone into doing what other people are doing just because they are either older than him or they're younger than him, or some people say at your age I was already doing X, Y, Z, and all of that. The system doesn't really work like that, especially when it comes to life. So people should be given time to move according to their pace. You can encourage them, but comparing them or trying to force those things down their throat, it doesn't work.
Yeah. But Hadiza, do you think social media has also, and trends, I would say, has also influenced some of the societal expectations and the peer pressure that youths tend to face?
Greatly, because social media would, like it or not, would influence your thought process, either positively or negatively.
Yes.
And like they say, comparison is the thief of joy. You're going through social media, you're seeing, especially like he just said, how the society puts like a time frame for you to attain a level of success. You see your mates doing better on social media, or you see them flourishing in certain areas of their life. Like it or not, it comes in your mind. If your mind isn't, if you're not someone who's grounded in who you are or who understands yourself, it affects you positively. Sometimes more negatively.
Actually, more negatively.
More negatively.
If you look at the case of Hush Puppy, so to speak, before he was arrested, when he comes around, he posts his clothes, cars, and one guy said something. He said, "This guy, they kill me. Guy, I must make out."
Regardless
of how it came, I'm like, don't you understand that what works for him may not work for you? So why are you giving yourself that kind of hypertension or blood pressure because you saw somebody like this and you want to be like him? So these are the social media goes a long way in influencing people, in actually exerting pressure on people.
But an individual understand time and seasons.
Yes,
exactly.
I agree with you. But this question I'll throw to the both of you, but let me hear from you first. Is there any time in your life that you felt pressured, to align or to go with what the society wants from you that doesn't align with who you truly are?
Well, yes. And very, very recently, yes. You see, I grew up in a conservative home. There are certain things that this is correct, this is wrong, this is not correct, this is not wrong, and all of that. And then when I go outside of the home, I try to play by the rules. I want to find out what is right here, what is wrong here, and try to keep to it. But it's people who break that protocol, and they get away with it actually. So many times I'm actually tempted to let me just do what they are doing and see how it goes. The first time I tried it, I suffered a lot for it. Even both in where I was and even at home. When the news got back home, they're like, "I didn't train you to be this way. This is not what we taught you. These are not the values we instilled in you. So why would you go ahead to do this?" And they say, "But this person did it and he went scot-free. Why should my own be different?"
So it goes down to what you said, like
Yes.
what works for another person might not work for you. How about you, Hadiza? Were you found wanting as well?
Yes, please. Especially for women, it comes in, the marital pressure, to be honest. At a certain level or at a certain stage in life, you're expected to have gotten someone serious or have, should be married at a certain point. And not everybody is seasoned enough to go into marriage, even young or early. It has to be something that you want at a certain time, else you're just trashing vision, you're just trashing goals. And it takes people a long time before they identify who they are, not let alone like getting married and being with someone and learning who they are when you don't even know yourself. So yeah, I'd say for me, the pressure to actually get married at the time where I wasn't ready to settle down. Yes, and there are no regrets, but I see how, the pressure took away that joy of me finding something for myself, rather than putting in mind that, oh, you have to settle down, you have to get married and all of that. Yeah, so yeah, marital pressure, I'd say, and childbearing.
And this is exactly what a lot of youths are actually facing in their homes now. Parents coming to ask both the girls and the boys, when are you getting married? It's a problem that I've seen a lot of young people running away from.
And there are a lot of things you need to support marriage.
Exactly.
You need to support marriage. It's not just love.
Someone told his son, he said, at 28 I was married, at 29 I had my first child, you're 30, what's going on? And the guy was like, why? Was I getting married at the same age you got married? And after some time, they gave him a few years, and then when he was 31, the pressure became increased actually. They started saying, you have to get someone, you have to be serious. And the notion is this, that if you're a single man, you are irresponsible. Yes, that is the societal
why not you hold on to that? Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue this discussion. Don't go anywhere after this break. Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us again on News Connect, coming to you from Trust TV here in Abuja. Now, before we went on break, Nwafor was making a point about the pressure. But what are the risks, in trying too hard to fit in, with societal norms?
You lose yourself.
Exactly.
You lose yourself. You lose because you're doing it for the society, not for you.
Yeah.
You lose yourself. And if you keep going with, because pleasing the society or what anybody has to say or think about you is very relative. Everybody you can't please everybody. It takes you time to circle back to yourself. So I think, that's all. Like, you lose yourself literally.
Yes, you lose yourself, and losing yourself is one of the very important disastrous things that should happen to a human being. When you're not true to yourself, you're not true to your identity, you're not true to what you want or what you need. You like it or not, you know what you need more than any other person at a particular point in time. And it's catastrophic that people want to push their ideas or put their philosophy on others when they have not gotten to the point where they should take certain actions. And so yes, she's very correct. You lose yourself.
So, but how do we make youth understand that they can still be true to themselves and still be accepted in the society they live in?
Well, if I start from the home and then it spills over to the society. When you have to choose between what's acceptable to society and what is acceptable to you at that particular point in time. Sometimes society sets unrealistic goals for people, and individuals should be able to be confident and say, at this point in time, I'm not going to do this. I have 1, 2, 3 things to achieve, and after that I come here.
Be disciplined, actually.
You have to be disciplined in making a choice. In making your choice, because if we follow everything that society throws at us and say, you have to do this at this particular time, have this at this particular time, honestly, we end up like robots that are controlled by a remote. And once the human being loses that free will, the choice, the innate freedom of making choices, you're dead 1,000 times before you died.
Yeah, but Hadiza, what are some practical strategies that you think, can help youths navigate or resist some of the peer pressures that they go through with their peers?
I'd go back to identifying yourself, be identity conscious, know yourself, understand your values, the things that you want in life, and make daily positive habits that would lead you into being that person. Practicing mindfulness, regulating your emotions and not acting out of them, to fit into certain situations. Finding God, to be very honest.
Very important, yeah.
Finding God and not just thinking you can run life yourself, really finding God. And for me, I'd say that these are the things that you might need or you really need.
Yeah, but how about parents at this point, because they can also add to some of the pressures that young people face, just like Hadiza mentioned, the pressure she had to face in terms of marriage and what have you. Do you think they are also adding to some of the things that we see playing out with young people? Sometimes we see them behave in a way and we're like, there's parental negligence or some sort.
Yes, to a large extent, yes, it happens. Parents have a way of putting pressure on their kids to do certain things. Some of the time, not most of the time, some of the time they see it as they are doing from a place of love. But you see, as a parent, you need to understand who your child is. Even if you have 7 kids, you should need to understand the lifestyle or the kind of human beings they are individually. And then you now know where to apply your training, where to apply your parenting skills. And parents have this tendency to always push their kids sometimes beyond reasonable force, and they try to force them to do what they don't want to do, and they also make the mistake of making comparisons. I know someone who he predicts his father very clearly. Once there's an issue on ground, he already knows that his dad is going to compare him to somebody, or his mom is going to say, just look at this person, he's your mate, and all of that. So he's just ready. Once they start talking, he just sits down to listen. And when they finish, say, I know that you will go to that place. So parents have a role to play. They should be able to look at their kids, no matter the age, and know how to interact with them and make sure that they achieve certain things, but reduce that push, that force. Except it's a special case though, but honestly,
do you think their peer pressure is more stronger physically, maybe with friends, or is more intense on social media? Because there are some people that tend to push a lot of things on social media for people to pick up from.
I think it's more intense with your circle. Social media, you're back to reality. At the end of the day, social media a little and you come back to reality. So I think it's more on the circle that you keep. And just like I said, just like the media comparison, you have comparisons, with your friends, the kind of circle that you have. And if these aren't people who really see through you, these aren't people who you can be totally authentic with, they don't see the vision that you have for yourself. They don't see the vision that you have for yourself, and they might run you down knowingly or unknowingly if you do not know yourself enough, right? And especially when it comes to success, to be very fair, when you see your peers or your mates doing better or achieving, like I said, achieving certain things at certain stages in their lives, you start to question, why isn't this happening? Why am I facing this, or why is this going on? That's why I said in the start, I said understanding time and season. Understand who you are. It reduces your ability to want to compare yourself with others, or see that, once you understand your vision, you know that your life is beautifully designed for you. You don't start to see other people's achievements or their successes or whatever it is as something you should compare or work towards. You start to build your life for you.
So how can peer pressure affect decision making, either positively or negatively?
Well, she mentioned your circle. That is one of the very important parts of it. In sociology, we say we study man in relationship to his group, to where he comes from, his environment, or people he associates with. Now, if someone finds his or herself in a circle where everybody there is basically unserious, trance, for example, like we have in university these days, whatever they do, if you do anything opposite of that, you are the odd man there. So there's a pressure to conform. Yes, whichever way it goes. Now, if your circle is full of people who are bookworms, if you do anything opposite of that, there's a pressure to conform. If you cannot conform, you have to leave. So these are the things they find. The peer pressure has a way of driving you to do whatever you do or whatever you feel you should do. For example, while I was in school, I had a group of friends. We were about 5, later became 13. A mixture of guys and ladies. Now something happened, and when we are in class, I noticed that they have a way of answering questions that are quite detailed. They just go straight to the theories, pick them out, pick out the dates, who propounded those theories, and they are good to go. But I'm not like that. At a point, I started trying to force myself to do what they do. I tried to read and how to maybe cram and memorize all of those things. But then I discovered that
that's not how it works.
No, that's not how it works for me. No, I'm not going to do that. So I stopped. I had to find a way to stop it, because like I said, I grew up in a conservative environment, but I was taught that my mind is independent. So when I see something that I'm not really comfortable with, I find a way to adjust so that I'll be comfortable. If not, I would lose myself, I'll lose my identity, and I want to be like them instead of being like what I'm supposed to be. So that's it. It happens like that.
Well, thank you so much, Obinna, for joining me on the program today.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much, Hadiza Shuaibu, for joining also.
Thank you.
Well, this is where we've come to the end of today's episode on Youth Connect. Do join us again next week for another interesting episode. I leave you with this question. How do you navigate peer pressure or societal expectations? Do you succumb to it, or do you stand and stay true to yourself? Well, I remain Fatima Ahmed Musa. Bye for now.